program is. Soon the sentences get a little bigger, and before you know it, you're having simulated conversations voiced by native speakers. And because Babbel is crafted by language experts and uses the spaced repetition method, in just 10 to 15 minutes a day, you'll be speaking the language of your choice with real confidence. With Babbel, you can speak a language. Just go to Babbel.com and start your first lesson in the language of your choice for free. Download the Babbel app or go to Babbel.com and try it for free. That's BABBEL.com.
Debbie Hart is president of BioNJ, which represents the interests of more than 400 New Jersey-based biotech companies. She's also a strong voice in the biotech sector, supporting research universities like New Jersey Institute of Technology. She sees NJIT as a valuable partner in attracting venture capital and biotech startups to the Garden State.
So the number one reason that companies come here to New Jersey for the biotech industry is for our talent. We estimate that there were about 30 biotech companies in the early 90s in New Jersey, about 80 in 1998. Today there are more than 400. And that growth continues, and it's come from every possible angle. Other countries, other states, they've spun out of our academic institutions as well as our biotech and our pharma companies, and we expect that growth to continue long into the future. And NJIT is a pipeline for talent, for companies, for entrepreneurs to do that important work.
NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology. Learn more at njit.edu.
It's a stock.
This is a message from the government about the emergency measures to support the economy during the period of disruption caused by the coronavirus. To help you, your business, and your workers affected, you can apply for cash grants, business rate holidays, statutory sick pay relief packages, as well as the coronavirus job retention and self-employment income support schemes. For information, go to gov.uk/business-support now.
Where will 2020 take you? Somewhere where people care. About each other, about our planet, about creating a better world for everyone, and becoming the best versions of yourselves. Join a community of like-minded individuals at the University of Winchester. Make sure to accept your offer by the UCAS deadline and visit our website to find out more. See the bigger picture. Be the difference. Go to winchester.ac.uk.
How do you keep track of all your favorite stations and podcasts? Easy. You add them to your favorites list. Just find the audio you want to bookmark and tap the heart icon. Then, whenever you want to browse your favorites, you'll find everything under the Favorites tab.
Let's be honest, we all spend too much of our day on social media. But at least you can spend your endless scroll time to discover new things on TuneIn. Follow @TuneIn on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to always be in the know about the best new stuff streaming in the app. From breaking news stories and live sporting events.
He does! Fabry wins it!
To standout stations and podcasts. Stay in touch with TuneIn.
Want to relive the glory of college football?
Balls over a man, into the end zone.
Come explore TuneIn's classic game replay collection to hear ESPN's complete coverage of the 2019 New Year's 6 bowl games. Don't miss your chance to re-experience the Rose Bowl, the 2020 National Championship, featuring Clemson and LSU.
There's going to be 2 champions on the field tomorrow night. There's going to be 1 team hold up the trophy.
Plays to the 5! Touchdown!
Search classic game replays to listen for free.
Are you ready for the realest first-hand take of what's happening in the NBA? On their podcast, All the Smoke, former NBA players Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson bring their fiery intensity to the mic, dishing on the latest news and drama from on and off the court without boundaries.
Half man, half amazing. My friend, our brother, Vince Carter, man. Welcome to the show.
Yo, what's up, man?
What's up, my brother?
Man,
Search All the Smoke on TuneIn to listen.
With the NHL season temporarily on ice, now is a good time to catch up on past games.
This shot score, Malkin again! Bergeron, he scores!
With game replay on TuneIn, you can listen to every power play, slap shot, and goal of the 2019-2020 season so far.
Suter to Cunnin to Fiala, he scores!
For a limited time, it's free for hockey fans everywhere. Search classic game replays to start listening.
Who says you can't have a laugh while getting serious about America's pastime? On the daily podcast Locked On MLB, comedian and baseball fanatic Paul Francis Sullivan talks about each team, each pennant race, and everything else in the game, from rule changes and controversies to baseball cards and stadium food.
For those of you who are not familiar with me or the old show, I love to obsess over baseball. I'm talking baseball over the Super Bowl. We had a TV showing the division series during my wedding.
Search Locked On MLB on TuneIn to listen today.
Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and on Quick Take by Bloomberg. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
From Bloomberg World Headquarters, I'm Charlie Pellet. Stocks continue to trade mixed. They have paired losses as a rally in technology giants offsets concerns over valuations and economic prospects. Apple, for example, rallying by 3%. NASDAQ up 40, a gain of 0.4%. NASDAQ 100 index did trade above 10,000 for the first time ever. S&P down 20, a drop of 0.6%. The Dow now slumping 244 points, a decline there of 0.9%. 10-years up 14.30 seconds, yield 0.82%. Gold up 1%, 17.15 the ounce. West Texas Intermediate crude now up 2% at 39.10 a barrel. American Airlines Group says it will take 141 aircraft from storage to support an increase in July service as travelers return to the skies faster than expected amid the coronavirus pandemic. American Airlines shares, they're down along with the rest of the airline group today. American down by 10.5%. I'm Charlie Pellet. That's a Bloomberg Business Flash.
All right, Charlie, thank you so much. You are listening to Bloomberg Business Week. Jason Kelly and Carol Masser. And I am really excited to talk about this next story and with this reporter, in part because, as you know, Carol, love talking to bureau chiefs. Bureau chiefs are the best. Just saying.
Doing your chiefing.
Do the chiefing. Natalie Obuko-Pearson is our Vancouver bureau chief for Bloomberg. She joins us on the phone from that gorgeous city. And her story I'm so excited about. Shopify, because, I mean, this is a juggernaut in Canada, and I really want to understand how it's gotten there and what may be next. Natalie, really nice to have you with us. How are you doing?
Thanks for having me.
So tell us about Shopify. Remind us what this is and how it has become so important so fast.
It's this really odd Canadian story, this very big company that a lot of people have never heard of. It's remained mostly invisible to consumers, but it's become the sort of platform of choice for any business that wants to get online quickly and cheaply. And obviously, since the beginning of the year with the pandemic, there's been a lot of businesses that suddenly want to get online very quickly and very cheaply. So essentially what it is, starting with a monthly fee of about $29, you can set up a virtual shop and everything that's needed to run it. So, manage things like payments, inventory levels, shipping. And we've seen, mega brands from like Heinz, the ketchup maker, to Heineken, the beer maker, have built their online presence on Shopify, down to like a small florist in Dublin. And one thing that's key to note about Shopify is it's essentially for those businesses that don't want to be selling on Amazon. So if you want to go online and keep control of your online shop and your e-commerce presence, you're going to go to something like Shopify and set it up on that platform. And so today in the U.S., one of the world's biggest e-commerce markets, if you're buying anything online that's not on Amazon, it's most likely done on a website that's been powered by Shopify.
And they've been powered by the lockdown and the virus, right? As a lot of people quickly pivoted to digital.
That's right. So since the start of the pandemic, I think it was their chief technical officer who was saying something like they were seeing Black Friday levels of traffic every day. All these businesses wanting to suddenly set up an e-commerce shop. And, one example actually was Heinz, this 150-year-old food brand that had resisted selling online for a very long time. But in the UK, as British consumers were suddenly struggling to find pantry staples, they did this about face. It was this very speedy e-commerce pivot. They within a week they had a virtual shop online selling pasta hoops and tomato soup and so on. And so that has been replicated in many geographies. And I think it was they saw like a 62% surge in store creations over a 6-week period.
I mean, it's unbelievable, too, the juggernaut it's become on the public markets, vying with Royal Bank of Canada as the biggest publicly traded company. I mean, it's bigger than Uber, right? I mean, which I feel is like the thing that, that's the thing that you just have to say to anybody in 2019 or 2020, and that gets their attention.
It's crazy, and speaking for Canadians, it's crazy for Canadians.
Right,
this massive juggernaut.
It's an $89 billion market cap company.
Yeah,
that's great. It's a behemoth. I mean, it helped flog $61 billion worth of goods in 2019. Its market value exceeds that of General Electric, and yet so few people outside of Canada have ever even heard of it.
Right.
So go ahead. Well, I was thinking that, all right, so we look at Amazon. We all know Amazon, right? We use it constantly. Does Amazon have to be worried? I mean, what's the difference, the biggest difference between these two?
Yeah, and that's a great question because I think, a lot of people who are aware of Shopify tend to compare it with Amazon. One key difference is that if you're a merchant and you want to sell your stuff online, Amazon might be an easy choice, but you kind of lose control. Once you put your wares up on Amazon, you're sort of relying on Amazon to get the web traffic to your virtual store, and then Amazon sort of takes over the fulfillment of those orders. And what we actually saw during the pandemic was that as Amazon became overwhelmed, it was prioritizing essential goods. So those merchants who were selling non-essential goods were suddenly finding that they were getting orders, but they couldn't fulfill them. And so that actually helped direct some traffic over to Shopify, where you are in control of your online shop. And the other thing to note is that, Shopify is much more than just selling a few things online. Like, it's evolved. And so essentially now it's sort of a one-stop shop for a business. So during the pandemic, it helped merchants set up curbside pickup. It helped them find ways to set up local delivery. It's also expanding social media. So it set up these partnerships with Facebook and Pinterest because one of the biggest problems for businesses is finding new customers, especially if these people aren't walking by your store every day. How do you find new customers? So then it's trying to expand social media as just another way to do online shopping. And in the past, what we've seen is businesses have to kind of cobble together different applications to manage these different channels. Well, Shopify really simplifies that for you. It's saying, you come to us, we will help you set that all up, and you can see the entirety of your business from this one platform.
And it's still your site, right? Or is it on Shopify?
Shopify is sort of provides the plumbing, but if you are a consumer and you go to that site, you will never see Shopify anywhere unless you go into the code. It looks like, Victoria Beckham's clothing line, or it looks like Heinz online store.
Cool.
So, Natalie, before we let you go, gotta ask, obviously all of our behavior has changed on the consumer side, and behavior has clearly changed on the merchant side. How much does Shopify need for some version of this to continue, for this behavior change to continue in order to be as successful as it has been?
Yeah, and that's a great question. I think that's where the skeptics have come in, because when you look at some of these multiples, they're sort of reminiscent of the internet boom at its frothiest period. Its share price has just totally gone stratospheric. And so the one big question is this rush of merchants that came online. Is that necessarily new demand that's going to sustain, or is it businesses that might have eventually come online anyway? So are they is Shopify borrowed from future demand, so to speak? The other big question is how many of the small merchants that have rushed onto Shopify to set up online shops are going to survive? Because we saw after the global financial crisis, thousands of them never recovered, and consumer spending may yet collapse. So, I think one analyst put it, the Shopify gained a lot of market share with the pandemic, but its biggest risk may actually be meeting investors' expectations. Like, it's a huge amount of pressure to have that enormous share price surge.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, it's a great story, a must read. It's on the Bloomberg and on Bloomberg.com today. It'll be in the upcoming edition of Bloomberg Business Week. Natalie Obico-Pearson, Vancouver Bureau Chief for Bloomberg, joining us on the phone from Vancouver. And for those of you listening in New York, D.C., San Francisco, watching on YouTube, Bloomberg Business Week continues. If you're listening to 106.1 in Boston, Bay State Business, that's coming up next.
Can my employer change my contract?
Am I entitled to statutory sick pay?
What is holiday pay?
When can I take annual leave?
Is my employer allowed to change the hours I work?
How do I raise an issue with my employer?
Right now, it's important to know your rights in the workplace. At ACAS, we're here to help with free impartial advice. Visit us today at acas.org.uk/rights at work.
In case you didn't know, TuneIn lets you listen to the same radio stations you pick up on your home or car radio, except you can hear them from anywhere. If you want to find a station from somewhere else in the world, navigate to the By Location section under Browse. Keep exploring with TuneIn.
Buckle up, race fans.
NASCAR is back in the driver's seat.
And you can cut straight to the action here.
With the Performance Racing Network on TuneIn, you can hear PRN's live coverage of some of this year's top events.
As NASCAR's top drivers, Kevin Harvick,
Clint Boyer, and more get back on the track.
Search Performance Racing Network to listen and see upcoming races.
Wondering what to play next? Want to know what other TuneIn listeners are listening to right now? Head to the trending section under Browse to explore the most popular stations and podcasts on TuneIn today. Millions of listeners like you can't be wrong.
Let's be honest, we all spend too much of our day on social media. But at least you can spend your endless scroll time to discover new things on TuneIn. Follow @TuneIn on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to always be in the know about the best new stuff streaming in the app. From breaking news stories and live sporting events.
He does! Fabry wins it!
To standout stations and podcasts. Stay in touch with TuneIn.
Want to relive the glory of college football?
Balls over a man, into the end zone.
Come explore TuneIn's classic game replay collection to hear ESPN's complete coverage of the 2019 New Year's 6 bowl games. Don't miss your chance to re-experience the Rose Bowl, the 2020 National Championship, featuring Clemson and LSU.
There are going to be 2 champions on the field tomorrow night. There's going to be 1 team hold up the trophy.
Plays to the 5! Touchdown!
Search classic game replays to listen for free.
You love TuneIn for live breaking news from CNN, MSNBC, Fox, CNBC, and more. But when you can't catch your favorite show as it airs, it might just be a click away as a podcast. Search your favorite news station to explore all the on-demand news shows on TuneIn.
Capital of the world, 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, on the Bloomberg Business app, and on Quick Take by Bloomberg. This is Bloomberg Radio.
From Bloomberg World Headquarters, I'm Charlie Pellet. We move into the final hour of trading. We've got U.S. equities trading mixed with the Dow, the S&P both lower. NASDAQ higher, climbing to another record. S&P down 15 now, a drop of 0.5%. The Dow is down 207, lower by 0.8%. Technology getting a lift, and NASDAQ surging 55 points, up by 0.6%. Year to date, NASDAQ is up 11.2%. To put that in context, the S&P showing a loss now of 0.4%. NASDAQ 100 index did trade briefly above the 10,000 threshold. Apple climbing on a news report. It is preparing to announce a shift to its own main processors in Mac computers. Apple shares, they're trading higher, up by 3.1%. Well, this is a Fed Tuesday as Federal Reserve policymakers begin their 2-day meeting. We'll get the announcement tomorrow. Andrew Sheets is Chief Cross-Asset Strategist at Morgan Stanley.
I think for the moment, the incentives for the Fed and the European Central Bank are to remain very dovish, to err on the side of caution. You don't know if there will be a second or a third wave of the virus. You don't know how long the economic impact will be, so it makes sense to remain extremely accommodative.
Small business optimism rebounded from a 7-year low in May. The data from the National Federation of Independent Business show more firms are anticipating conditions will improve as economic lockdowns are lifted. Sources tell Bloomberg Delta Airlines is in talks to let Brazilian carrier Gol postpone payments on a $300 million loan for which Delta is the guarantor. It's a tough day for a lot of the airline names. Delta, for example, down 8.3%. UAL down 8.8%. American American Airlines now lower by 10%. Southwest among the big four, dropping by 6.5%. Also trading lower today, Boeing. Sources tell Bloomberg that Boeing didn't sell or deliver any of its marquee 787 Dreamliner jets in May. Again, recapping, equities trading mixed with the S&P down now by 16 points. I'm Charlie Pellet. That is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
You're listening to Bloomberg Business Week with Carol Masser and Jason Kelly on Bloomberg Radio.
All right, let's do a little Business Week economics now. It's a big week, the first day of the Fed meeting. Tomorrow, right around this time, we'll be in the midst of hearing from none other than Fed Chair Jay Powell, the lending and spending tour of 2020. Just get on board, Carol. It's the hottest ticket in town. Yeah. Help us understand what we may hear tomorrow and what the underlying economic conditions are is our own Yelena Shalecheva, senior U.S. economist for Bloomberg Economics, joining us on the phone from Long Island. So, Yelena, help us understand sort of the backdrop here, because it feels like every single investor, every analyst we talk to basically goes, well, the Fed did this and the Fed did that. And, you know, the Fed has sort of ridden in to save the day with a little fiscal stimulus to boot from the Congress. But where does the Fed stand right now, especially given the economy that we're seeing?
Yes, hi, Jason. So I think what's interesting, obviously, as the Fed began their meeting today is where economic data are as opposed to where financial conditions are. So while financial conditions substantially improved, the data between the April and June FOMC meetings continue to show weak economic activity. So one payrolls report is probably not going to change how the Fed is looking at economic conditions. And that is what really goes into their deliberations and how they view the outlook. So this week, this time, we will get a new set of forecasts, economic forecasts for the economy going into the next couple of years. Last time the Fed did it was back in December. They omitted forecasting what is going to happen in March, and now they're reintroducing this forecast. So it will be interesting to see not even like the median forecast, but rather the range of possible outcomes for the economy.
Yeah, we were talking earlier with Gina Martin Adams about the outlook in terms of earnings and estimates and kind of what's out there, trying to get, a good feel of how maybe, much the equity markets have run ahead of themselves. I do wonder, when you look at the bond market, what does it tell us? And I feel like it's always a good indicator of what's to come. Do you think the bond market is reading things correctly right now, Yelena?
I don't think the markets in general are reading things correctly at this point, because I think there's a huge gap between how the markets are viewing the outlook and what is really happening in the economy. I think the economy, the fundamentals remain much, much weaker, and I think really the Fed will continue to remain very dovish in their assessment of the medium-term economic outlook. Yeah. If you look at personal income and where the wages are relative to, wage income in general, where they were before the crisis, the trend where it was before the crisis and what is happening right now, you will see a huge gap between those two things. So what is really helping economic growth at this point, and maybe that's why we see some nascent signs of the recovery, is policy support. And that needs to continue for the economy to continue to recover.
Well, we know, come on, Yelena, right, Jason, we're going to be covering it right here on Bloomberg Radio. Obviously the Fed decision and then the press conference and Jay Powell's statement. But I expect he's going to get tons of questions about that jobs report. And I do wonder, too, the balance he has to do, especially when we're now kind of hearing out of policymakers in Congress that maybe there won't be any more relief coming for individuals. And we know it's still a very tricky situation for individuals.
I wonder who will ask this question first, and whether this will be the first or the second question during the press conference. The question about the payrolls report. He will undoubtedly be asked that question, and I think that Chair Powell will take a very cautious tone and will just say that this is just one data point. Obviously, he will acknowledge it's a positive development, but then, I don't think the Fed will jump and just say, okay, this is really, something really positive is happening in the economy. I think, in contrast, they will continue to talk about different downside risks to the economy, such as insufficient support of policy that could lower productivity growth, worker skills atrophy, and things like that. So I think this is really premature for the Fed to declare victory.
All right, Yelena Shalecheva, thank you so much. Always good to catch up with you, and we know you'll be watching all of that closely, as we will tomorrow. Yelena Shalecheva, senior U.S. economist for Bloomberg Economics, joining us on the phone. So, Carol, I did want to point out a story on this topic that
I know.
I'm not sure.
Brian Chapata's story?
Brian Chapata's column, but also the story by Matt Bosler as well, sort of a companion piece, which essentially says, and I do wonder if Jay Powell's going to get this question, which is, hey, listen, you guys have done a great job propping up the economy. We've seen that in the financial markets, but that jobs data also reminded us of the gross inequities when it comes to white workers and minority workers.
We talked about it with Stephen Skenke yesterday, right? And said that the Fed is constantly watching these kinds of indicators, and they, keep an eye on it. And I do wonder,
but what can they do about it? Like, it's cool that they're keeping an eye on it, but what do they do about it? I think is going to be one of the questions.
They are very much in touch with the entire financial system of the country. So, maybe they've got to be talking to the big banks and the financial community to do more things to maybe help out the disadvantaged, because I think that they get, whether it's predatory lending, whether it's, there's things that happen that I think where certain groups are targeted. I don't mean to just,
I wonder
single out banks.
If they don't push it down to some of the regional Fed presidents. It's a question. I'd love to talk to Steve Matthews about this on our team.
Oh, that's a good idea.
He covers the Atlanta Fed and a number of the other regional Fed banks. He's done a lot of smart writing about some of the regional economies where this is especially stark. So it's a question for him. Maybe we'll bring him up.
I just think everybody has a role in this, no doubt about it. All right, let's get back to World and National News headlines. Back on over to Nancy Lyons, Internet 91 newsroom in the nation's capital. Hey, Nancy.
Hey, Carol. Here's where you can find strength beneath his wings. They are remembering George Floyd in Houston, the final memorial service before he's buried next to his mother. Former Vice President Joe Biden spoke to mourners and the Floyd family through a video.
Unlike most, you must grieve in public. And it's a burden. A burden that is now your purpose to change the world for the better. In the name of George Floyd.
Houston officials say a horse-drawn carriage will carry Floyd's casket to Houston Memorial Gardens. One of the 4 Minneapolis police officers involved in George Floyd's death says he did what he could to keep Floyd alive. Earl Gray is the attorney for Thomas Lane.
While Mr. Floyd was moving, Lane asked, should we roll him on his side? And Officer Chauvin said, no, staying put where we got him. Now, we've got a 20-year officer here, and you got a 4-day officer in my client.
Lane has been charged along with 2 other officers with aiding and abetting murder. Officer Chauvin, whose knee was on Floyd's neck, has been charged with second-degree murder without intent, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. Well, the FCC is proposing a $225 million fine, its largest ever, against 2 health insurance telemarketers for spamming people with 1 billion robocalls using fake phone numbers. Global news 24 hours a day, on air and on Quick Take by Bloomberg, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Nancy Lyons.
Business and finance have always held surprises, but this is brand new.
The move risks fueling more demonstrations, and Stokes' concerned that essential freedoms will be curbed.
Karen Muskow and Nathan Hager.
Chinese lawmakers approved national security legislation.
Expert navigation through uncharted territory.
Tell us the range of outcomes that we could see on that front.
Bloomberg Daybreak, weekday mornings at 5 Eastern. On Bloomberg Radio, the Bloomberg Business app, and BloombergRadio.com. Bloomberg, the world is listening.
Okay, kids, Dad's gonna teach you how to dance. First, spread your feet apart. Then, pump your knee, nod your head, shake your hips, and bite your lip ever so slightly. Now, with one hand in the air, point at people with the other hand. I call that the rock star.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
Now, make a face like it just smells something bad.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Are you interested in a challenging and exciting career? One where you can be part of solving complex challenges across industries and geographies. Bloomberg's ever-expanding technology, data, news, and media services foster innovation, empower clients, and offer nearly limitless opportunities for career growth. Visit Bloomberg.com/careers today to view our current job opportunities. Bloomberg LP is an equal opportunity employer. The address once again is Bloomberg.com/careers.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone who
had to be independent and take initiative, and that's how I handle every project I get.
Discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org. Brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
At Bloomberg,
where will 2020 take you? Somewhere where people care about each other, about our planet, about creating a better world for everyone, and becoming the best versions of yourselves. Join a community of like-minded individuals at the University of Winchester. Make sure to accept your offer by the UCAS deadline and visit our website to find out more. See the bigger picture. Be the difference. Go to winchester.ac.uk.
There's a reason flash storage is called flash storage and not electronic non-volatile computer memory storage. From quick and efficient data retrieval to instant scalability, everything about IBM flash storage is fast. It's also cloud-ready and surprisingly affordable, with a recommended monthly price of £310 for 24 terabytes of all flash. Order by the 30th of June and pay nothing for 90 days. Find out more at ibm.biz/flash offer.
This is a message from the government about the next stage of controlling coronavirus with NHS Test and Trace. To protect your friends and family, testing and tracing must become a new way of life. If you have symptoms, you need to get a test immediately. Don't leave home for any other reason. If you test positive, we will contact you to trace people who you might have infected. From now on, if you're told you've been exposed to an infected person, you must self-isolate for 14 days. Play your part and do the right thing so we can safely return to a more normal life. Go to nhs.uk or call 119. Stay alert, control the virus, save lives.
At Asda, we're helping you shop safely by keeping our stores clean and limiting customer numbers so you can keep 2 meters apart. With our Scan and Go mobile app, you can reduce contact at the till too. Asda, we're all in this together. Subject to availability, mobile data charges may apply.
To help keep you and your loved ones safe, TuneIn has the latest guidelines from the CDC. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Remember, 6 feet, it's the rule. Stay your distance and always wear a mask while you're out. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. For the latest stories and updates on COVID-19, search Coronavirus News on TuneIn.
Let's be honest, we all spend too much of our day on social media. But at least you can spend your endless scroll time to discover new things on TuneIn. Follow @TuneIn on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to always be in the know about the best news stuff streaming in the app. From breaking news stories and live sporting events